You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you guys can listen to a podcast. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to not only this show, but also some of our other shows, like MF Uncensored, the Multiverse Fancast, our friends over at You Hate to See It, and as well as our articles, reviews, affiliates, all sorts of things. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, our brand new store. I'm actually wearing one of our shirts right now.
Whoa.
So make sure you guys check that out and pick one up before they're gone. Just kidding. They'll be there for a while, but you should still get one. Anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me in the studio today is Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I am good. I honestly forgot what you looked like.
I know. It's been a while since you and I have...
That's crazy.
It's been a minute.
It's been almost a month.
I know. So for those of you guys who don't know, I went away on my honeymoon to...
You got married?
Yeah, twice, technically. Wow. Same woman, before anybody starts asking questions. But anyway, so we went away on our honeymoon finally. No masks, no nothing, which was fantastic. We had a great time. So beforehand, we recorded a ton of episodes, like about three episodes for each show.
Yeah. Well, you did the Thor review, which you used
kind of cheated. Yeah, that's fine. It's our network.
It's our network. We can do what we want.
So yeah, we're back in the studio today in person, and this will come out next week as per usual. Usually, for those of you guys who don't know, we usually record on weekends and then release on Monday.
It's usually how it works out.
Sometimes Tuesday, depending on if there's a holiday
or how I feel
about editing. So yeah, we're excited to be back, and we wanted to do something a little bit fun, a little bit different today, and
a little easy.
Then I think that this could...
It's not easy, but you know what I mean.
I think that this could turn into some fun debate, potentially. Some fun...
with a solid debate.
Some fun exclusions. You may be a cunning linguist, but I'm a master debater. Thank you. He's not going to be on this list, I don't think.
No, probably not.
Probably not. But we are talking some of our favorite and most iconic movie duos. Just a little background. We were debating on what we wanted to talk about today, and I was... ironically watching Dude, Where's My Car before Sean got here. Just something on the TV, just, it's a Sunday morning, just kind of having some sort of noise, basically. And that movie came on, and I found myself sitting down watching it. I was like, man, I don't think they get enough recognition for the chemistry that the two of them have together in that movie. Like, it's not by any means a great movie.
Nah, it's just one of those movies that came out at the right time.
For us, yes. For us. We were the target audience. We still are.
It's just stupid fun. I mean, and that's where I can't stand people who, bash on, like, those types of movies. Like, what do you want them to do? It's just a movie. It's fun. You go into a movie to have fun, to enjoy, to escape reality, and that's, like, one of the good examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stupid humor, and you may find it funny, you may not, but
it is what it is. Unfortunately,
it is what it is. I mean,
we've had more than one discussion about movie critics and the idea of, like, look, there are so many movies, especially nowadays, where now they take the audience score into effect.
Oh yeah,
and
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, as flawed as Rotten Tomatoes can be, because it is very easy to review bomb, or in the case of something like Zack Snyder's Justice League, use bots to pump your numbers, which is it. Everybody, like, it's a thing, right?
All I want to say is, be prepared, folks. There is a massive good episode of Multiverse Fancast coming up to talk about the shit show that is.
Oh my God!
Warner Brothers, DCU, and the future of superhero movies.
DC Films. Oh yeah.
I hope I can be on that to discuss that dumpster fire.
Oh my God!
And just to watch Paul's face, just
it's rough.
Be like, it's like, oh, Can't wait.
Cannot
wait.
Have you ever seen the meme of the guy who's walking with his girlfriend? He looks over his shoulder.
Oh yeah, for everything that comes out.
So they have one for DC right now where it's it's Black Adam as the girlfriend, and he's looking over his shoulder at Ben Affleck returning as Batman. Yeah, because that's what overshadowed all of the DC news. We just did our episode on Multiverse for San Diego Comic-Con, and we were like, here are the 2 DC things, and here's the 900 Marvel things. Weird. Like, it's crazy. What a time we're living in.
I know. I mean, it's the fact that a movie studio can literally make a movie disappear to save money. To me, I just find that incredible. We're never going to see that movie.
We're never going to see that movie.
Never going to see that movie.
They're going to the directors are going to push for that to be released. Apparently, they're saving $20 million by not releasing it.
Well, that's the thing. They're saving money.
How are you saving money after you just spent almost...
They're getting a tax write-off. It's like basically a write-off.
It's crazy.
Like, I think if they had waited like an extra week, they wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see if that movie is as bad as the studio thought it was going to be.
I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to that episode, folks. Be on the lookout, because that's going to be a good one.
All right. So today's episode is more for funsies, more for just a good time. Because a lot of people say that Sean and I are quite the duo.
Who says that?
Anybody who I ask, can you say that Sean and I are a really good duo? I'm going to put that on a shirt. Sean and I are a good duo. Paul and Sean, good duo. But anyway, if we get to 100,000 listeners, we'll do that. So we wanted to kind of have some fun, and we're going to break this up into not categories, but just kind of go through. We found a ton of lists online of famous movie duos. Now we're doing characters, correct?
Well, we can do one group as characters, and we can do another group which won't be as big of like actual actor duos that, you know, whether it's just they were in a lot of movies together and they just had a good chemistry, an act comedy team, something, you know, relatively like that. Because I don't know if you would want to go like director actor, because
I was just thinking of that.
There's
like,
a lot of combinations.
Scorsese,
De Niro, Scorsese, DiCaprio.
I said DiCaprio. You said De Niro. You classy
Spielberg,
guy.
Harrison Ford. Not really.
Not
George Lucas, Harrison Ford.
That's probably a little bit more accurate, which is funny, because he hates Star Wars. All right, so what do you, in your opinion, what makes a good on-screen duo?
Okay, so to me, a good on-screen duo obviously counts on one thing. A, counts on the movie that they're in, you know, script, but also counts on just the relationship between the two actors. I mean, the movie could be bad, but you could also sense a good thing going on between the two characters, 2 lead female characters, 2 lead male characters. It doesn't matter, you know, male, female. It's you know, it's just something in the water. Like, you can't explain it.
Yeah.
Like, you
It's
can't
not
explain
tangible.
what's a good one, why Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan work so well together in the few movies they made together, or, you know, Paul Newman and Robert Redford in the 2 movies they made together. I mean, you can't explain it. They could not be the greatest actors in the world, but they just work. Something there works. And it could be the director bringing out something in the actors. It could be the script. And it could just be the actors. I mean, it's all different things can lead into the perfect monster that is a good duo on screen.
So for me, there are 2 kinds of movie duos. There's the odd couple type pairing where they're complete opposites.
Yeah.
Your Riggs and Murtaugh, your actual odd couple.
Felix and Oscar.
Yep. And then there's the 2 that are almost the exact same person, just 2 dimwits usually. That's
your Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly from
or
Step Brothers.
your Bill and Ted even.
Bill and Ted.
Likeable, adorable, and just dumb. Dumb as hell.
Ashton and William Scott from Dude Was Macaw.
I'm going to mention that one. It's not on any list, but I'm still going to mention that one.
Oh, you got to mention it.
So, you know what? Let's start there.
Okay.
All right? Because that's
how you got the idea.
That is how I got the idea.
Should.
So, Dude, Where's My Car came out, I think, 2001.
Something like
that. Early 2000s.
It was during the peak of that 70s show, and it was definitely after American Pie and Road Trip. So, Sean William Scott was Stifler. That was what he was known for.
Which is funny because in this movie, he's not Stifler.
Oh, no. He's nothing like Stifler in this movie.
I give Sean William Scott his kudos. He's really tried to break out of that.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't seen him in anything.
Which is why I hate, like, when people think Road Trip, they think he's just Stifler in it. He's not Stifler in that either.
Not really.
He's got a little Stifler-isms to him.
He's got the cockiness of Stifler, but he's not the a-hole like Stifler.
So, for me, what makes this movie work is the 2 of them just play off each other so well. It's insanely quotable. You and I still do quotes from that movie.
The plot is hot garbage, but
oh my God, it makes no sense.
But the 2 of them just play dimwits so well. And it's just, there's nothing bad about it. Like, it's just, you could tell they're having fun.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. When you can tell someone's having fun doing the performance that they're doing, it makes it even better to watch.
So it's funny you say that because we were talking like I said on Multiverse, we were talking about some of the things, and they announced Fantastic Four. If you watch the original Fantastic Four, for those of you guys who don't know, here's your superhero movie knowledge of the day. They created a Fantastic Four movie like 30 plus years ago.
Oh yeah, it was for Roger Corman. It was like going to be
the only reason they did it was to keep the rights to the characters,
and they never released the movie.
Never released the movie.
I don't think to this day. I mean, you might be able to find it on YouTube.
Yeah, something like that. But like the budget just kept going lower and lower, but the actors didn't know.
No.
So they gave their heart to it. So if you ever get a chance to see it, the actors really try, and they have very good chemistry with them.
Yeah.
So that's an example of trying your best in a mess and still making it work.
Well, real quick side story. My girlfriend and I went to the Terrificon comic convention up in Mohegan Sun in Connecticut last week.
Yeah.
And they always have like a vendor section with like movie posters. So I'm scouring through. I come across the Fantastic Four. That Fantastic Four movie poster.
Awesome.
And I'm looking at it going like, and I kind of look up at the person. I'm like, you're really selling a poster for a movie that just was never released?
I would have bought it.
I was like, whatever. But I didn't really buy much from the Terrificon this year.
Last year we did.
We bought a lot.
We went nuts. I still got that Keyblade sitting over there that I haven't
this
even
year
put up.
we didn't really go crazy much, but it was still fun. Still a good time.
All right, so going to our actual list. You ready?
Yes, sir.
First up, Tyler Durden and the narrator from Fight Club.
Brad Pitt and Edward Norton.
They work so well together,
yeah.
Especially considering if you haven't seen this movie, I don't want to spoil anything, but all their scenes are together, let's just say.
Yeah.
And when when Edward Norton realizes what's going on, like they're so good together that I didn't even realize that they don't even name the narrator.
That was back when I was doing movie trivia, but we would go out to trivia every week, and that was one of the questions. What's the name of the lead character in Fight Club? And I had not seen the movie yet, and I was like, I don't know. And
Batman.
Like, no name or the narrator. And I was like, God damn.
Yeah, the narrator. There's a rumor that it's actually Jack, because he keeps saying, I am Jack's total, he finds the journals or whatever. But any thoughts on Tyler Durden and the narrator?
No, that's another good one where it's just you got the right actors to play the roles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You punched me in the ear.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the famous line is, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah.
That was just Brad Pitt having a good time, and Edward Norton I love Edward Norton. And in mostly anything he does, I enjoy Edward Norton.
I just would not want to hang out with him.
I don't know. I feel like he's a good guy to hang out with. Yeah, he might be a control freak.
I wouldn't want to do a movie with him. How's that?
It's fair, but I've also heard people have good times working with him. Death to Smoochie.
Death to Smoochie.
Love that movie.
Let's see. He definitely would not be the Hulk anymore with the way the Hulk is now.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine Edward Norton?
Could you imagine that conversation? Like, hey Ed, we're gonna totally just make the Hulk a joke.
Oh yeah. Oh God, he would have lost it. Let's see. Butch and Sundance.
Great.
Yeah.
So we did, as I said before, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, they did 2 movies together. Butch and Sundance and The Sting, and in both movies their chemistry is just unbelievable. And
I think you had me watch The Sting.
I did.
Yeah, that was a great movie. It was a very good movie.
I actually like The Sting better than I like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. But that's when you got 2 tour de force actors, it's kind of, I'm trying to think. It's kind of like Pacino and De Niro. It's that kind of teaming up. When you get 2 big name actors like that in the same movie, you always want to see how they work well with each other. And funny fact, Robert Redford was not a big star when he was cast in Butch Cassidy, so that was a big gamble on the studio's part. And Paul Newman was like, no, this guy's really good. We really got to have him. So just sometimes everything works out, and you get a good pairing right there.
Yeah. Speaking of good pairing, Jay and Silent Bob.
Who would have thought watching Clerks, the original, that those 2 would become like the faces of the franchise?
In the trailer for Clerks 3, they make fun of that fact. Like, they joke about it, which I think is the smartest thing they could have done. Because, Jay and Silent Bob, they're the perfect examples of characters that ran away successfully. Because they're not the stars of any of the movies until Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They're so not much in Clerks. They're in it.
They're also not the same.
They're not the same. It's really Mallrats, where the Jay and Silent Bob we know to this day were born. But yeah, even in that movie, you could tell they just put these characters to the forefront. And then obviously Chasing Amy, not as much in Chasing Amy, but then Dogma.
Well, it's funny because you talk about Mallrats. They don't interact with the main characters very often in that movie.
No, it's just mainly that first scene where they see in front of the pet store, and then they're off doing their own thing,
doing their adventure.
They converse with other characters, but
Fighting LaFleur's.
Fighting LaFleur's. You don't know who LaFleur's is?
Yeah.
You don't know who LaFleur's is.
Now, so talking about iconic movie duos, Dante and Randall are not on any of these lists. I get it. It still upsets me.
I understand that, especially if you're going to put Ashton Kutcher. I mean, not you personally. I'm not the list. You putting Ashton and Sean William Scott on there. I definitely would say, in our opinions, Randall and Dante should be on there. Absolutely.
Randall and Dante are a great example of the two types of duos kind of meshing, because they are very similar to each other, but they're also very different.
Yeah.
Same kind of interests, same kind like they like hockey, they like movies, they sit around and they bullshit all day.
Yeah.
So obviously they have a lot of things going, but obviously Randall's a little bit more on the brash side, and then Dante's a little bit more quote unquote level-headed.
I guess level-headed, but just won't take the leap to do anything crazy.
Yeah, he's the straight man to the comedy guy.
Yes. To
a point, but also like he's also doofy and not particularly likable all the time. Yeah, but I do think that Dante and Randall they're a forgotten duo, especially because the guy who plays Randall, what's his name in real life?
Jeff Anderson.
He and Kevin Smith had a huge falling out.
They had a falling out between. See, I can't know when it happened because
I think
he was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
It was before that, but I think during Dogma is when that happens. Because obviously Jeff, the guy who plays Dante's in everything.
Pretty much, he always plays with a character with the last name Hicks.
They're all cousins.
And then Jeff, but it seems to be better off now because he was in Zack and Miri.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing Clerks 3.
Yeah.
So I think he's finally understood that.
Kevin Smith's one of those guys that has falling outs a lot, but then he reconciles.
He reconciles, but again, the thing about Kevin Smith, we love him to death. The man doesn't know how to shut up.
No.
And he's even admitted that. Especially with his Ben Affleck. I don't think it was honestly Ben Affleck that was upset with him. I think it was Jennifer Garner.
I can see that.
I think that's why the two of them had a falling out. I think Jennifer Garner was like, yo, this guy's a pain in the ass. Can you get away from him for a little while? And now obviously that they're no longer together.
Yeah, I would love to hang out with Kevin Smith once.
I wouldn't mind hanging out with him, but he's also a guy who will not have a problem telling you what he thinks.
Yes, and all of it. I watched a special he did.
Yeah.
He answered, it was like a Q&A.
Oh, I remember you telling me.
One question.
And then he just goes off.
This kid comes up, like she's like 13. It's the first question of the entire event. And he goes on to an hour-and-a-half tirade about everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're getting the value of the show, but if I was a customer and I was there to do an FAQ with him or a Q&A.
Get it.
Oh my God. Especially if I was the next person online.
Well, that's the thing. If there's a line of people and you're like, I never got to ask a question.
He needs a handler that can really keep him in
that would be interesting.
All right, going down the list. Now, this is our first hero-villain combo. This is a unique one, in my opinion. Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling.
See, now, duo is an interesting term for that because they're only
but they do partner up.
They partner up in the sequel. I mean,
well, in this, that's why she's
partner up, yes, but they're never like an actual duo.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's weird.
It's weird. That's just one of the tour de force performances by both those actors ever. I mean, that scene where he's getting the out of her past about the
lambs.
The lambs.
Oh, it's
one of the most powerful scenes you'll see in a movie. And obviously, we all know. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter is one of the greatest movie performances of all time.
Oh, 1,000%. And he's barely in it.
It's in the movie for combined, 15 minutes.
Crazy, right?
It's crazy. You would think he was in it for the whole movie. But, yeah, no, that's I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
it's on the list, so it's interesting.
That's what I said.
But I understand it, but I feel like you could have put other things before that. Mm-hmm. Or you could have had a whole other list of something in that realm.
Yeah. All right. Woody and Buzz.
Oh, good one.
From the Toy Story series. But ironically, this list only says Toy Story and Toy Story 2. Which is weird.
Okay.
But I can understand because in Toy Story 3 and especially in Toy Story 4, they don't interact as much.
They don't interact in Toy Story 2.
That's fair too. I'll give you that one. But the whole mission is to save
Woody, and then obviously in the mission in Toy Story 3 is to escape the nursery, the daycare.
I hated what they did with Buzz Lightyear in the fourth movie.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree. Toy Story 4 didn't have to happen.
Mm-mm.
Have I seen it since I saw it in theaters? Absolutely not.
But it's the same problem they had with Thor. They make him dumb in the fourth one.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do? You just lived with Andy for 20 years, and now you have another. Like, that's your.
Yeah.
I have to listen to my inner voice.
It just takes away the mental, just heartbreak of the ending of the third one. It really kind of watered that down, and it's just.
It felt like a cash grab the whole time.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I agree. But
cash grab from Disney, but Pixar put in their heart to it.
So what is again? So I guess honestly, this can fall into a conversation like, what is your definition of a duo? Because you're right. You know, obviously in Toy Story 1, they're antagonistic towards each other for 3/4 of the movie. They team up at the end to obviously make it back onto the moving truck, and they kind of reconcile their differences. And then in Toy Story 2, they're really not together for half of the movie.
But they're definitely friends in
they're
it.
Friends.
They work together. But yeah, their interactions are very limited.
And you really don't see a lot of like go-betweens between the two of them, besides like the, you know...
it's the first one where they're antagonistic.
So I don't know how that falls in a movie duo. Like, to me, a movie duo is a two-person team that like doesn't separate for a long period of time, you know, and they're in the movie for...
Which I would also argue then, but like if you think Toy Story, you think Woody and Buzz.
Oh, absolutely.
If you made a Toy Story movie with just Woody and no Buzz, it just wouldn't work.
No, I agree. Totally agree.
I think that can justify it in my mind.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right, this is actually one of my favorite ones. Han Solo and Chewie. What a unique dynamic the two of them have.
Yeah.
Where Chewie doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So Han's the one that really interprets whatever Chewie's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't until like I still say, as much as like The Force Awakens kind of divides fans, it's more on the positive than on the negative, unlike some of the other ones. The scene where Han dies and Chewie loses it, man, like you could feel it. And for who is it, Peter Mayhew in that one still? Or
I want to say yes.
I want to say yes.
I think
also,
he was still alive when
like just to be able to convey that, it shows the two of them just were perfect together.
Yeah.
And they are the duo that we see. I'd even say that they are a better duo than R2D2 and C-3PO.
That's fair.
Mostly because C-3PO just annoys me. And R2D2...
And you're afraid of R2D2.
I'm not afraid of R2D2. I just don't get why he didn't remember he had jet propulsion systems in any of the other movies.
Oh, again, off subject. Have you watched any of the ILM documentary on Disney+?
No, not yet.
Oh, it's very good. Very good.
Now, this one I'm not going to agree with, and I want to hear your thoughts. Indiana Jones and Henry Jones Sr.
No.
That's
not a duo.
Like, for the sake of that
it's
movie...
more of a duo. Indiana and Short Round is more of a duo.
I would agree with that.
Than the father and the son.
Or who's the guy that helps him in...
Sala?
Sala.
Sala.
I think he would be more of a duo.
Honestly, I don't even think Indiana Jones belongs in a duo conversation. I mean, I only said the Short Round just because I think that's ridiculous. It would be
the closer one, yeah.
But... if there was the same person in each movie, I would agree. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it differs in the first movie it's Marion, in the second movie it's Short Round and Winnie, and then it's the father. No, sorry, I don't think Indiana Jones is a duo character.
At least it wasn't Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yep. Next we're gonna do one like best like friend groups. That'd be a fun episode too. Hot Tub Time Machine. Bart and Jim, Blazing Saddles. I think so.
That's good. That's a good one. The two of them had great chemistry together.
They worked so... Some of the best scenes were the two of them just sitting around talking.
I must have killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille.
I'm not going to lie. My favorite line in the entire movie, and I know it's not PC, and I hope I don't get canceled, but when he pulls him out from behind the rock, where are the white women at? Just because it's his delivery, it's the two of them, it's everything.
I even think Gene Wilder's delivery is even better. He goes, "Hey boys, look what I got here."
Oh god, they are fantastic. And again, they are the perfect example of they're similar characters, but obviously very different. Mm-hmm. They have a similar mentality, similar mindset. And the chemistry was I
mean, and the funny thing is, neither of them were the original choice to play those characters, and that's what it's more crazy to think. I mean, Richard Pryor, I think, would have still done a good job.
I think so,
but
too.
I think Cleavon Little just was wonderful in that movie. And then obviously Gene Wilder, I think the original choice was like an older veteran actor who was also an alcoholic, and they had to fire him because he couldn't stay sober.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about Jay and Silent Bob. Jay had Dogma was rough.
Was it Dogma?
Dogma.
They Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He was like on heroin throughout most of the movie.
No, it was Dogma.
It was Dogma.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I think that's when he started getting clean.
Oh, was that when he got clean? Okay.
But yeah, this movie, Blazing Saddles, I think.
So that's a perfect example of a one-off comedy duo.
Oh,
you never saw the two of them together. Now, fun fact: Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor would go on to be in like I want to say like 5 films together, and I guess you could say they became a sort of comedy team in the late 70s, early 80s. So I find that kind of ironic. But in terms of just a one-off, that's definitely up there as a great, fun movie duo in comedy.
All right, Murtaugh and Riggs, Lethal Weapon. I'll let you go because I know you're more of a...
This is one of the few series of movies where I thoroughly enjoy every single one of them. Obviously, the first one is the best, but very much like Back to the Future, I can watch any of the 4. If any of them are on TV, I will sit down and watch a little bit here and there. Some great quotes come out of that franchise. And just again, I mean, Mel Gibson was at the beginning, not beginning, but like the early part. He wasn't a star like he became. And Danny Glover was...
you switched is to became.
Yeah, no, became, because he's no longer... He's still respectable, I guess, but, whatever. But that's just another one where you got the right actors playing the right characters and just pulling off these crazy 2 characters, and it just worked. And again, they did the second one, also good. He was supposed to die at the end of the second one, Riggs, and then obviously they did 3 and 4. A lot of people give 3 and 4 grief. I still enjoy them very much, and I think the chemistry between the 2 of them just grew as the movies progressed. I mean, the back and forth between the 2 of them in the second one is hysterical.
Oh my god!
The scene where he's stuck on the toilet with the bomb under him, it's great. It really is. And then again, we're talking 15 years later when the 4th one comes out, they still have it. And they're talking about doing another one,
which is crazy considering what happened with the show.
The show I was so annoyed with that. I liked that show.
Yeah,
that first 2 seasons of that show I thought were really good. I never watched it after what's his name left.
Yeah. But all right, Hammond and Cates, 48 Hours.
I've actually never seen 48 Hours.
Neither have I.
So
I would have much rather said Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, but
he's more solo in that. I think
he's a solo, but he's got the 2 cops, especially 1 and 2 with Judge Reinhold and John Ashton. That would have been a duo is not the right word. That would have been a good comedy team.
Yeah.
A 3-person team.
Now, going down, I'm actually going to amend this one.
Okay.
So it's Nick Angel and Danny Butterman from Hot Fuzz. I will say the 2 of them just in general as a duo.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
They are fantastic.
I agree.
It is one of the rare times where off-screen friends became on-screen successes. Like they were very good friends for years.
And they were on a TV show together.
TV shows, comedy tropes.
or something like that.
Yeah. So... I understand why Hot Fuzz is the one here because that's the one where they're really as far as team up goes, it's probably the strongest because
you could throw Edgar Wright into that because honestly, he had a big part in the success of those 3 movies as well.
His
so
style
the 3 of them just worked as a comedy team up, you know.
But the 2 of them have amazing, completely natural chemistry. Not one of them ever tries to upstage the other. They're ones where one's a star than the other. Obviously Shaun of the Dead.
Well, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, I think, are definitely more Simon Pegg vehicles. And then on World's End, it's like they switched. And Nick Frost was kind of
you hated at World's End.
I did because it just bothered me.
Well, you also hated Simon Pegg's character in that. And that was
I don't know if I hated his character. I just didn't like the story. It just didn't fulfill me. It just wasn't... Didn't live up to Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead for me.
I know this might be a hot take for you, but I think Hot Fuzz is the best out of the 3.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say Shaun of the Dead.
No, Shaun of the Dead is, I think, is great, and there are some scenes in that where I can't breathe because I'm laughing so hard. But Hot Fuzz, from beginning to end, I just think is a perfect movie.
It is the best love letter to action films ever.
Absolutely.
You know what it reminds me of in a weird way? The Orville. So
That's fair.
For those of you guys who don't know, the TV show The Orville was Seth MacFarlane's Star Trek show, basically. And when it first was getting pitched, everybody thought it was going to be Family Guy in space.
Well, that's what the Fox network was promoting it as. They were only showing funny scenes.
And then I watched the first episode. I was like, oh wow, they're actually taking this super seriously. It's more of an action dramedy kind of thing.
It's a sci-fi.
It's like an actual
sci-fi show,
and that made it even better for me. In all honesty,
yeah, I didn't stick with it. Not because I didn't want to. It's just I lost track of it.
The new season on Hulu was fantastic.
Oh, good. All right. And then it was at the Terrificon. There was 2. Adrian Palicki was there, and the guy in the makeup with.
Who plays Bortus?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, that's funny. I wouldn't. Unfortunately, I wouldn't recognize.
I don't know who
one of the actresses who was on the first season who played the character Alara. I forget her name off the top of my head. Don't come at me. But she said that she only worked with him in makeup for months, and then saw him finally without it and didn't recognize him. That's Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. Apparently, he left the set in that outfit, and a fan who was on set for like some sort of meet and greet ran into him, and she asked where Ryan Reynolds was. Oh my God,
that fan has no idea what the hell she's doing, man.
I know, right? Well, you think Ryan Reynolds, you think perfect.
I was about to say, like, it's not like this was his first movie.
I swear. That's another movie we're gonna do one day. All right, Doc and Marty, Back to the Future.
Oh, great one.
It is. What can you not say? What can you say about it that has not been said already? They are one of the. It shouldn't.
We have Rick and Morty because of this.
On paper, it shouldn't work.
Old man, teenager.
Old man, teenage boy doing experiments in his garage.
I always wanted.
Why are you late to school, Marty?
That would be my. If I ever got in a room with Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, I would be like, listen, did you ever have a version of the script where you showed how the two of them met?
Yeah.
And if they say no, then I'd be like, okay, well then how do you think the two of them met? I would love to know in what world would Marty McFly start hanging out with Doc Brown.
Okay, for the record, this is in the 80s where nowadays it'd be even weirder.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, they're still.
You can't say anything about it. That's just perfect casting again. I mean,
perfect casting, perfect chemistry,
perfect script.
The fact that even though technically they play the same character, they're playing them at different points in their lives.
Yes, and it worked. I mean,
the fact that they still connect and they still bounce off each other so incredibly well.
When you get Doc Brown in the 50s Doc Brown and then the 80s Doc Brown, So.
I mean, the best is when they switch their lines. When
in Back to the Future 3,
when he says,
"Oh, this is
great
heavy.
Scott, I know it's heavy." It's and it feels so natural.
I didn't catch that for a long time
because it felt so organic and so natural. All right, Charlie Chaplin and the Kid from The Kid. Yeah, that's a vague one.
I mean, it's one of the best. It's a great movie, The Kid, and the scene where the kid is being taken away from him is absolutely just heart-wrenching to watch because the kid is like. And fun fact, that kid is the kid who he would eventually go and play Uncle Fester in the Addams Family TV show.
Really?
Yes,
I like it.
Jackie, I can't remember his name.
Got this.
Nah,
Jackie Coogan.
Jackie Coogan. Thank you. I get him and Jackie Cooper mixed up.
Same.
Yeah, I know. You just it's like Coogan or Cooper. I can't remember.
Which one's Jackie Chan?
Yes, you are.
He's on that list.
It's a one-movie duo, and they work so well together, the two of them. I think Charlie Chaplin, I think later in life, the two of them met in real life again, and we're watching the movie, and Charlie Chaplin was just like, that's one of the best performances I've ever had made because of that kid.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a comedy duo. They have funny moments together, but it just works. That's another example of just picking the right kid to work with you. I mean, Charlie Chaplin is a comedic genius, cinematic genius, and he just found the right little kid that made it work.
Yeah. All right, Vince and Jules from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I think Pulp Fiction's overrated. That's just my opinion.
I do agree. I like Pulp Fiction. I've seen it. I will argue that the dance. The dance scene's more iconic, and
I mean, the Royale with cheese conversation's always going to be fun to watch, but
yeah. All right, here's right up your alley.
There we go.
Abbott and Costello.
Well, what can you say?
I don't know. That's why I passed it to you.
What can you say? One of the greatest comedy teams ever done. Back in the vaudeville days, they did radio. They started in movies in the early 40s. They were the number one movie attraction throughout World War II. They went to television when television first came about. So they did it all. And obviously they've had some amazing memorable movies like Abbott and Costello, Frankenstein, Buck Privates, Hold That Ghost, and they've had some cruddy movies, too. But I think, put a gun to my head, they're my favorite comedy team of all time.
I could see that.
I would say that. Yes.
Oh my God.
So
should I put the gun down? Sorry.
You have a gun?
No, I don't. All right, going down now. This one.
He's got a gun.
Janie's got a gun. Going down. Felix and Oscar. I think this is. Did they make an Odd Couple movie? Yeah, they did. They made a few.
It was a Broadway show. So it started as a Broadway show, and Walter Matthau originated the role of Oscar on Broadway. It was a different actor playing a Felix, Art Carney. Mm-hmm. Then they did the movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. The two of them. Was not the first pairing. That's a comedy duo right there. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. Yeah. So while we're on that, once I talk about Oscar and Felix, this is just the typical. Obviously, as you said, odd couple. I mean, Felix is a hypochondriac, just a nut job, and Oscar is a slob, and doesn't give two craps about anything. And they're best, they're best friends, and they have to live together for a certain amount of time, and they just get on each other. More so, Felix gets on Oscar's nerves and all that. But that is definitely one of the funnier movies ever made. I definitely recommend it. Now, with Lemon and Murtaugh would go on to be in I don't know how many movies. I mean, they did a lot in the 90s. Grumpy Old Men. They actually did an Odd Couple sequel, Out to Sea. So they worked so well together as a comedy team. So that definitely, if they're not on there later on, I mean, that they're just saying Felix and Oscar, right?
Felix and Oscar, yeah.
But I think Lemon and Murtaugh definitely deserve. Well, they're doing characters. This list.
Yeah, which is kind of what we were aiming towards.
Okay, so definitely Felix and Oscar, and then obviously Lemon and Murtaugh, I think, are definitely up there as a good comedy duo. What?
Walter Murtaugh. Elwood and Jake Blues, the Blues Brothers.
Another one. That's it's Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, man.
It is the perfect example of why they made the movie, and then they tried to do a sequel, and it sucked.
Yeah.
I don't even blame the script for the sequel. I blame the fact that
I haven't seen that movie since we saw it in theaters when I was a kid.
I think my stepdad and I went to go see it.
It's funny because everybody thinks that Blues Brothers was based off a Saturday Night Live sketch. It was never a sketch. It was more just because I believe the story goes that a musical act canceled on SNL like the last minute.
Oof.
And both John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd were big fans of blues music. I think they went out and performed in front of audiences, like as the Blues Brothers.
Oh, that's fun.
So I think they went to Lorne Michaels and said, "Hey, why don't we do the Blues Brothers as the musical act?" I think because of that performance, they came up with the idea of let's do a movie out of these two characters.
Yeah,
and that movie has grown on me over the years. I didn't like it as a kid, maybe just because it wasn't like physical comedy, but just the script is just hilarious. I mean, the back and forth between the two of them. I mean, just crazy plots. I mean, it has to deal with, running from a Nazi group in the middle of Illinois and, dealing with trying to find money for an orphan society. And just some famous quotes like "We're on a mission from God."
Yep, I'm on a mission from God.
So that movie was again a perfect just storm of just everything working to make it success. And then you're right, the sequel was just John Belushi had died years earlier, so I mean they got John Goodman to replace him, and John Goodman is great. I love John Goodman. That's just a movie you don't even make that movie. Like why even bothering? I don't know. I wouldn't call it a cash grab because I don't think Dan Aykroyd is in the business of doing a cash grab. I think they were truly trying to, respect the characters and just see where the characters would go, but didn't work.
Did not. Thelma and Louise.
Good one.
Classic. Iconic.
One of the best female duos you'll see in movies. Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. Excellent movie. I always forget Ridley Scott directed that movie.
Yeah. I always forget Brad Pitt's in it.
That's right. Yeah. I think that was one of his first...
Like his very first role.
First, known big role.
Yeah, good for him. Andy and Red, The Shawshank Redemption. I like that one. That's another one. Yeah, iconic. I know a lot of people, when they think The Shawshank Redemption, they think of him escaping and the shot of him in the rain and all that. But the two of them have just such an easy friendship that works.
I love the Family Guy. Did you the Family Guy Shawshank episode?
Which one? You're gonna the whole episode?
The one where they do the Stephen King stories and they do like the 5-6 minutes in Shawshank. It's just where he's escaping and he's like hitting the tube to the theme of Friends and he's kind of like
Yeah, they do. Say what you will about Family Guy nowadays, but there's
still some funny moments, but for the most part it's just not that good anymore.
All right, here's one I don't even want to talk about. Wally and Eve from Wally. That's not a duo. That's a romantic couple, and get out of here.
Stop.
All right, so we have that's our first list.
That's our first list.
Oh my god. I haven't seen this movie. I'm sure you haven't. We talked about I'm also going through these a little bit.
It's like, Paul, you're talking to yourself again.
Yeah, a little bit. Did you ever see Easy Rider?
Yeah.
Would you say White and Billy from Easy Rider?
I mean, they're a duo. I wouldn't when I think of movie duos, they're not one of my first things I think of.
That's fair. Now, what about this one? This is an iconic duo for me. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson.
That's a good one, depending on which ones you like. I mean, there's the original, like Basil Rathbone from the 30s and 40s. There's obviously the TV show Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. Then you got Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
I think they're fantastic, the two of them
Robert
together.
Downey Jr. and Jude Law, I think, worked very well together. I was
And
kind of
that's
surprised.
That's based on their chemistry alone.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much I actually enjoyed the first one. The second one was all right. I didn't do it
The
for me
more
as
I've
much.
watched the second one, the more I've enjoyed it, especially at the end. I think the ending is really good.
True. Where when he falls off the cliff and then he...
Well, not even that, when Watson's the one that has to figure out who...
Yeah.
And, like, they're playing their game of chess, and Watson actually, like, he shows just as much deductive reasoning, because a lot of times with John Watson, they made him almost bumbling.
Well, in the early movies, the Basil Rathbone movies, definitely Watson was just a bumbling, older guy. It was the Peter Cushing Hammer Sherlock Holmes movie. They only did one, Hound of the Baskervilles, and in that one, Watson was like, very respectable. Actually, could help deduce what was going on, and wasn't a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, I don't think they ever made Watson really that.
I always think of The Great Mouse Detective.
Yes. Oh.
What's the name of the Watson character? I know
Basil at Baker Street and Dr. Dawson.
Oh, yeah.
Dudley, is it
Something
Dudley
like that,
Dawson? Is it Dudley Dawson?
That is a fantastic... I would watch...
Such an underrated movie, The Great Mouse
It
Detective.
really is. That is golden.
That was
Disney.
right before the Disney Renaissance.
That was when the characters could still get really drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Because the one mouse gets, like, boxed.
And then when the freaking again becomes the rabbit, that's still scary.
It's still scary. Like,
Vincent Price, man. Whew.
Oof. All right, going down the list. Let's see.
Going down the list.
Here's one I really like. Lee and Carter from the Rush Hour trilogy.
That's a good one.
I love the Rush Hour. That's another series where they're all good. Like, I can watch any one of them, in all honesty.
I haven't seen 2 and 3 since...
It blows my mind to think that in movie time, 1 and 2 take place in the course of like 2 weeks.
I was about to say, yeah, because 2 starts right at the end of 1.
Where they're going.
And it was only like a year later they made the movie, or 2 years later at most. And then it was, what, a 10-year gap between 2 and 3, or maybe even more?
And you could tell, and this is the testament to a good buddy duo. You can tell that they were still friends, and they were still talking to each other, and they were still interacting with each other. And like they talk about, like, you're still mad at me about what happened in New York, So like they did some really good stuff, and those two just had a natural chemistry, especially Jackie Chan with his language barrier, because like English is not his first language.
No.
He's very good at it, and he does, like in the bloopers you'll see him like messing up words and he's having trouble.
I love those bloopers.
The bloopers are some of the best. And then Chris Tucker talks fast, and he moves, and he is very high energy. The two of them work so well.
It really, that movie was just, I remember that movie was just one of those pleasant surprises.
Oh, 10 trillion%.
One of the first DVDs I ever bought was Rush Hour.
I think the second one was one of the first DVDs I ever got.
Really? Yeah.
But I think that those movies play off, the two of them play off. The first one has some moments that have not aged particularly well.
Still think the best one. When they're chasing the bad guy and he goes up the fire escape and he tries to lower it, and Chris Tucker's like, "Yeah, I ain't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, lower it down some more."
There's another one where he's like, "Lee, I'll take the stairs." He starts running up the stairs. They are, the two of them are just so funny.
That's the perfect example of an odd pairing. Just, you would never, if someone walked into a room and said, "Oh, I got this perfect idea for a movie, Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan," they'd probably be laughed out of the room.
Oh my God!
And now if they had the script going like, "Well, we have an Asian detective coming to America, and he's got, team up with this, cocky cop who is not well liked by his other cops." Okay, then you can understand it. But if you just say, "Oh,
Chris Tucker,
Jackie Chan are going to be perfect comedy team," you'd be like, "What are you smoking?
Get out of here." We're not doing SpongeBob and Patrick. I'm boycotting it completely. Bonnie and Clyde.
Real people, so I don't know if I put them in as a movie duo.
Yeah, it's still iconic.
It's iconic. That ending scene is still one of... that's where cinema violence took a turn, when they get gunned down at the end of that movie.
Oof. It still holds up.
For 1967, it's still brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that was the year movies really started to change in terms of, the types of stories they were going to put on screen, going from lavish musicals to just these gritty, low budget, movies and stuff like that. So Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, yes. I was going to say Jane Fonda. No, Faye Dunaway. They worked very well together. I thought they were perfect for the two of them.
Now,
great job.
Even though we're not doing as many TV ones, we did do a movie episode for this, so I'm going to throw it in there. Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble.
Yeah, no, that works.
I love the two of them.
That's, again, it's a takeoff on the Honeymooners, Ralph Cramden and Ed Norton.
Mm-hmm. So
it's kind of that, two idiots, friends. One thinks he's smarter than the other, but he's really not. So Just it's kind of right in that wheelhouse.
Right there. I just closed out one of the lists, but we have Cheech and Chong.
I'm not let me rephrase that. It's not that I'm not a Cheech and Chong fan. I've actually really never sat down and watched any of their
movies.
Chong movies.
I think we missed that phase.
I think that's more of a 70s. You had to be there to really, I got to sit down and watch. I know like Up in Smoke is like probably considered their best movie, but I'll be honest, I haven't really ever sat down and watched the Cheech and Chong movie.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you got next?
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted. We did a whole episode on them a couple months ago. Again, just right time, right place. We
love Bill and Ted though. We are such big Bill and Ted fans. Now,
something strange is afoot at the Circle K.
Yeah, those movies, even like the second movie, which isn't. I think I like the second movie more now as an adult.
Oh yeah.
It's still not that. It's still not as good as the first one. Mm-hmm. And then the third one we enjoyed until the very end, where it just kind of got weird, which is saying something for a Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah.
But if they ever want to do another one, like they slipped right back into those roles, and you can definitely tell they still. It feels like they still keep in touch, and it feels like they're still friends in real life, which I think translates well on screen.
That's good to hear.
Brendan Huff and Dale Doback from Step Brothers. Go ahead, say it. Say it.
I'm not gonna say anything. I know they're funny together. I mean, you never would have thought John C. Reilly would have fallen into that comedy, because this is a guy who can do straight drama.
Oh my god, he's fantastic too. I mean,
Chicago,
like
Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah,
Gangs of New York, and then he kind of. What was the first thing he did? Where was this? I don't know. I can't remember. Talladega Nights was like his first
he started venturing
foray into the Will Ferrell comedy troupe.
The two of them are really funny together.
They do work well together. I loved them in Talladega Nights together. I thought they were hysterical with each other. I've seen Step Brothers, and it's funny. I'm not denying that. It's just not my go-to movie. Even there are some quotes about it I find funny, but not really from them. The Billy Joel.
Oh,
the Billy Joel 80s tribute band.
We still quote that.
Play Piano Man.
Only do 80s type of stuff. Only do 80s Joel, sir. Let's keep it in the 80s. Let's keep it fun. All right, you ready? Speaking of just dumb humor. Harry and Lloyd, Dumb and Dumber.
See, I love hearing Jeff Daniels talk about making this movie.
Absolutely.
He does not hide from this movie. You would think Jeff Daniels would
he has an incredible career.
Run away from this movie, and people ask him dude, you were in Terms of Endearment. You were, Broadway.
Speed,
you were in Woody Allen movies.
The Newsroom.
Why would you do this? Why would you do that? He goes, I was going to work with a comedy genius in Jim Carrey, which is saying something because...
He's just as funny.
But no. What I'm saying is because Jim Carrey only had one movie to his real resume at the time, and that was Ace Ventura.
And he had In Living Color, too.
Yes, but, no one knew that Jim Carrey was going to turn out to be what he became. But
do a whole episode on Jim Carrey.
But what Jim Carrey did that was smart, and maybe you could also say selfish, he didn't want another comedian in the other role because he didn't want to compete with that comedian for screen time in terms of jokes and all that. He wanted a straight actor who could work off of him. Mm-hmm. And Jeff Daniels rose to the occasion with that. I mean, you could even say sometimes Jeff Daniels is funnier than Jim Carrey in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just
the laxative scene.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just reminiscing. Should I leave it at that? Because I only have one more after this.
You might as well.
Leave it there?
Leave it there.
All right, we're going to keep people guessing on this last one.
The toilet's broken.
The toilet's broken. But this was fun. This was a good time.
Yeah. Some notable... we got to do some notable... What's the term when it's not on the list, but it's
honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. I mean, if you want to just go comedy duos...
Ooh, I do have an honorable mention then.
There you go.
I totally forgot. Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not on there.
No.
I'm surprised. Those two worked very well
They
together.
worked fantastic together. Harold and Kumar.
I remember when the trailer for that movie came out and they were promoting it as the Asian guy from American Pie and the Indian guy from Van Wilder. You couldn't do that now.
No, you can't do that.
But it was okay. It's they go to White Castle. And we're we didn't see that in theaters. Did we? I don't think so. I did.
I think we saw it for the first time.
On video, DVD.
DVD. And I remember that movie sold us. The second that movie sold us was when they walk out of their apartment, walk 4 feet, and then, dude, you forgot your cell phone. Do you need to go back and get it? No, we've come too far. And they stop and think about it for a while. They did it in Dude, Where's My Car also.
Yes.
Dude, I'm sick of walking, dude. Yeah, me too, dude. And it turns out they're 5 feet away.
Oh, God. That movie was just a pleasant surprise.
Oh my god, they were.
And then the second one was just over the top, but it was funny. They just went full out on all the
and then the 3D
politically incorrect jokes they could do in the second one, and then the third one was just.
It was surprisingly
good, but it's not a movie I can really sit down and watch.
The whole thing about the third one is they do the 3D trope, and they make fun of it.
They
They do 3D like it was done in like the 80s.
Well, they do 3D like it's an amusement park 3D,
which was.
It's like what you would see in an amusement park ride.
This was also when 3D was like the thing.
Oh yeah,
every movie was doing. Even movies that weren't supposed to be in 3D were converting, and it was bad.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, but they sold me on this movie the second he's talking to his assistant, and his assistant goes, "It's gonna be amazing." Looks at the camera, the thumbs come out. He's like, and it cuts back to, "What are you doing? Who are you talking to?" It's just they make fun with that, and that's what the Harold and Kumar franchise should be, especially when they turn to clay. It's like, I have a clay penis, and it like comes out of you. Like, oh no! Like they have some fun with that. Any other honorable mentions that you can think of?
Just some comedy teams. And you got like Laurel and Hardy, and Three Stooges, Marx Brothers,
Bo and Luke Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard movie.
They worked well together. I would have liked to have seen the two of them in a movie again after that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they ever did.
No, not Johnny Knox.
Oh, J&K, the Men in Black series.
Interesting. I forgot about that.
Because the second one was just on too. I was just watching. I even like the third one.
I do like the third one. I thought him and Josh Brolin worked very well together.
Yeah, so you could still call him K though,
you could still call him K.
It's still J and K, and they all it's the same character. Man, I'm surprised that has not landed anywhere.
I think they're Will Smith.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's probably.
He's very sorry, everyone.
He's very sorry.
Very sorry.
I'm trying to think of others that are just escaping my mind. Anything in like comic book related?
Obviously people talk Batman and Robin. They're like the biggest iconic duo. But nowadays, like you can't even say like Captain America and Iron Man because it's really Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, like blah blah blah. So, I think really. And then you have like other characters that are really good solos, but have good group dynamic. We'll do a group episode because, like, I would even say James Bond has a great group supporting cast.
Oh yeah, you got M, Q, Money Penny.
That'd be a fun episode too. Like the Harry Potter franchise. Because I wouldn't even say like Ron and Harry are an iconic duo.
No.
It's Ron, Harry, and Hermione. So yeah, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of untapped. We also debated doing a director and
director-actor one, but obviously there's certain ones where you're like, oh, I know that, but then you got to really think about it after that.
But I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up.
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for more of our content, our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can also find us on any and all social media, including but not limited to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Basically type in Misfit Faction, and odds are you'll find some of our content. Now, speaking of Facebook, we do have the triumphant return of Fan Feedback Friday.
Whoa!
Now, this is a weird one. I don't even know where I got this one, but this is what happened. So, the Fan Feedback Friday was first movie that comes to mind when you see Nicolas Cage. All right, before we even go in, Sean, what's yours?
The Rock.
The Rock. Mine is actually National Treasure.
Okay.
Or, ironically enough, Ghost Rider, because it's so bad. All right, let's see. We have Con Air, The Rock, Gone in 60 Seconds, National Treasure, Leaving Las Vegas.
Oscar-winning performance.
Another National Treasure, The Rock, Gone in 60 Seconds, Moonstruck, Kick-Ass. That's actually a solid one, yeah. I love him in
Superman
Lives. Get out of here with that. But yeah, so don't forget, Fan Feedback Friday. Find us on Facebook, the Cinematic Adventures. You can also find our group, the Misfit Faction Media Network. It is a private group, but all you have to do is just request entry, and guess what? We got you. Don't worry. Now that's going to wrap us up. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Sean. I feel like we did this already.
I know. Deja vu. And we'll be back next week.